Welcome to Carlos and Lisa. I'm Lisa Remillard.
And I'm Carlos Amesco. It's nice to have you with us. We have a great show for you today. Lots of great interviews and things that are coming up. This morning, I feel like we need to talk about kids in restaurants.
Oh, let's talk about kids in restaurants.
You know, there are restaurants where children really belong, and then there are restaurants where children probably shouldn't be brought to, you know, I had lots of kids. You
had a lot of kids.
I brought kids to the restaurant all the time, but my kids were well behaved.
Yeah, says you right now. Thinking back, you know, all those years, I'm sure they weren't as well behaved as you remember it in your head.
Pretty well behaved.
Well, I
taught them at home how to behave at the restaurant.
Right.
So pretty much because I like to get out and do stuff, and
right.
And I didn't want my kids to be a problem to other patrons.
Well, I think too, when your kids were growing, when we were all growing up,
yeah.
I was growing up with your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have all the distractions that kids get to have now. We didn't have iPads. Our parents didn't have iPhones.
Yeah, that's true.
When we'd go to the restaurant. I mean, I remember my dad, and very rarely took us out.
Really?
But when we were kids, we'd go every once in a while and go to a fancy restaurant, you know, like Chili's. And we would go.
I think go to Chili's.
It was fancy for us.
Fancy's Chili's, yeah.
And
the whole booth.
The whole booth, and we would go, and my dad would be like, "You will stare, and you will be quiet." And we would color.
The stare of death. That's the way I used to
right.
stare at my kids that way.
Absolutely, disciplined by staring.
Yeah,
that's what my dad used to do. But we would color, and then we would sit there quietly.
Yeah.
But it's not that way anymore.
No. I mean, my oldest kids were well behaved because when they were younger, they were just by themselves. But as we got more kids,
right.
By the time Michael came along, the fifth child,
right.
He was rambunctious. He wanted to go under the table and go out, and I wouldn't let him do that.
Yeah.
And then the kids would shame him, you need to sit still.
Oh, so the older kids
would
ones
help took over. They helped me out. It was great.
See, that's nice. See, that's. But what do you do when they start? So. The whole reason why we're talking this up, because we're talking about it, and then we were looking around, and we found that an Arby's restaurant in Minnesota.
Because they have linen and everything, and silverware, and
it's a
fancy restaurant.
Fast food.
We have the meats.
Well, how about this? Yeah, we have the meats. Yes. So Arby's put up this sign at a store in Minnesota that says, "Only well-behaved children who can keep their food on their trays and their bottoms on their seats are welcome. If you can't do this, you will be asked to leave. Thanks."
Hey, who are you, you unfriendly little jerky manager?
That was the manager of the Arby's. Well, of course, all these moms are in there with their kids, and then they're feeling super uncomfortable, right?
I mean, the place looks like a Fisher-Price toy anyway. You know, everything's plastic, indestructible. It's made for families and kids and people who are just going to have, a fast, quick sandwich and get out of there. What does this guy want? A French restaurant?
Well, I don't know, but there's a lot about this story I don't know. I need to understand if he had this birthday,
a traumatic experience,
like a birthday party with 30, 4-year-olds,
crazy kids
running around the store, disrupting, other customers. I don't know. There's not enough information. However, Arby's, the big, corporate Arby's came back and was like, we took the sign down, we apologize, we've disciplined the manager, blah, blah, blah. He shouldn't have,
That's really insensitive, because most fast food restaurants do cater to families.
Yeah.
Because it's inexpensive, it's quick food, and somewhat nutritious. The beef and cheddar to die for. Okay.
We have the meats.
And the sandwiches that they have there, again, excellent sandwiches.
Yes.
The other sandwiches, not the beef ones, but the other ones.
The other ones
are really good.
Okay.
Anyway.
Thank you for that,
Yes,
Carlos.
I just want to let you know that
the connoisseur of fast food.
I know where the meats are. Yes. So the thing is, for example, in some McDonald's restaurants, they have playgrounds, and they have parties there, and you can rent the place, and you can go
have the party.
Because where else are you going to do that?
Right. But there's no playground at Arby's.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some of them have playgrounds.
There's no playground. No, they don't do that. No.
But you also don't want crazy kids running around. I get if you have a kid and you're taking them to fast food, but they probably shouldn't be running around the restaurant.
But I sometimes tell, I blame the parents. I blame the parents for not teaching their kids, number one.
I agree with
Number
this.
two, when they get really loud and noisy
Disruptive,
and obnoxious, take them outside.
I agree.
And talk with them and then bring them back in. A lot of parents just say, hey, it's my world. I paid my money. I'm supposed to be here. Like, come on.
I agree.
That's just being considerate.
I agree.
Just
you know what? I don't know what happened to that, because my dad, God rest his soul, he used to, at the restaurants, he would be like, do you want me to take you outside? And we'd be like, absolutely.
No. Yeah. Tom and I are exactly alike.
Because
I would did that. I would scare my kids into behaving.
Of course, we would never go outside. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that would never happen. But like, the threat of it was terrifying. But I don't know what it is about parents that won't take their kids outside anymore.
I took my kids outside and left them.
Carlos, you did not.
I did.
You did not.
I let David stand outside until he behaved.
Are you serious?
And he just like, wah! He's screaming outside like, let me back in, blah, blah, blah. And I stood by the door and would not let him in.
You know what that is? Good parenting. I'm a big fan.
Some people will call it child abuse. Today.
Well, look, you're not.
Today, probably somebody would call and say,
this is
this is Family Social Services. We're picking up David and taking him home.
This is Southern California. You're not leaving him out in the snow.
No.
He's fine
actually,
outside.
I did that in Utah.
Oh, Carlos.
In the snow.
Carlos.
It was 40 below zero.
That is a lie.
David almost froze to death.
That's a lie. That is not true. Do not call CPS on Carlos, please. It is fine.
It's too late now.
And David is totally okay. I can tell you.
Are you
that.
sure about that?
Well, he might have some residual damage. Anywho, just
PTSD parenting.
Yes, exactly. Just be cognizant of the people around you, especially if you have little kids. And maybe at Arby's you can have a seat, and like kids are fine at Arby's.
Yeah, I understand that's your customer base, Arby's.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so it's a music show today.
It's big surprises. You're gonna love this show.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back.
He's outside all day.
He's not.
Leave him out there. Let him freeze.
You didn't do that in Utah.
That's
awful. Okay, we gotta go.
Still ahead, in Glow We Trust founder Bianca de Garza is here talking about all things beauty. And later, a new partnership to help conserve and protect popular surf spots all around the world. This portion of Carlos and Lisa is brought to you by Amalfi Estates.
She is a former journalist, late-night host, and now she is taking over the business world.
Bianca de Garza is here with us, and she has created a makeup line that's interesting because it's about the beauty within.
Ooh.
Because we already know you're beautiful on the outside, but it all starts in the heart, right?
Oh, thank you first for having me.
Hi.
Nice
Beautiful
to have you
people,
here.
beautiful viewers.
Yes.
I mean, I think it really is something about, being on TV your whole life. You kind of go like, let's like not have to put on the mask anymore. The mother used to say, did you leave without your blush?
Yes,
and,
exactly.
Bianca de Garza Beauty, I launched this line a few years ago. And basically the ethos of it is like, be the best version of yourself, but understand it is an internal job.
Right.
And I really saw through years of media and being on camera that the messaging of beauty wasn't really quite healthy. And having a 13-year-old daughter and also being a woman that is getting older myself, I really wanted to redefine it, reposition it, and say, hey, beauty is a subject that we really need to tackle as not just a YouTube tutorial.
Right.
Okay, it's much deeper than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you brought up YouTube, and I'm going to bring up all of the other beauty lines that are out there. Kylie Jenner has, like everybody has a beauty line. So what
seems like it this day, right?
What makes this different?
Well, I think that I got into it as being an outsider. I got into it as being a journalist, as someone who had to wear the product. So I've tried everything under the sun. I'd had to go on camera when I've had like breakouts and pimples and what's going to hide it. I literally sometimes would have viewers call and tell my boss, Bianca looked really tired on the morning show.
I used to get that too.
And I was like,
even the guys get that. What's the matter with them?
Why? Those backs, they would call me into the office and I would get yelled at. Bianca, a viewer called you, and they'd leave me messages too. You're looking really tired. I said, well, gee, I wake up at 3 in the morning. I come to work and then I work and I do your noon show. And then like the day just was extended by having a daughter who was very young, and I was a single mom at the time. So what I wanted to do when I created this line is first and foremost create something that was premium quality. Just because you don't make $1 million, you shouldn't have to go buy very expensive things that actually we found out a lot of them don't have active ingredients. So you're spending on marketing. So I want women to have something that is good for their skin. We're vegan, and I want it to be something that's at an affordable price. So you don't buy it once, you buy it twice, you love it, you buy it for your sister, you have your daughter use it. So for me, it's all about about not only what's inside, having formulas that are full of active ingredients, but also what's on the messaging, right?
So what have you brought here?
Yeah. Well, I brought some goodies because I know that, everyone loves something.
Everybody loves a good sparkle lotion.
Exactly.
Come on, don't be crazy.
This is our brand new cleanser.
This is a cleanser?
It's a cleanser for your face, morning, night, whenever you want to use it. This is a cleanser.
Sparkly cleanser?
Exactly.
You're kidding.
Well, it glows, right?
Oh, it glows.
And then you might like this if you want to check out the eye cream. A lot of the products that I create, I don't just handle the formula. I want the products to have very good innovation on how you apply it.
Oh, what's
so
that?
This is our neck and delicate cream, so it'd be perfect for what you're wearing now.
For like here?
Yes, and here. Because we never treat our necks.
No, ever.
And I'm getting to that point where I'm like, okay, wait, what's going on here?
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
I know.
That's a really interesting applicator. Let me take a look at it.
So it twists so you never lose any product, right?
That's awesome.
When it doesn't spill in your bag. And then when you put it on, you can kind of go up with it and you massage it.
You have to go up, Carlos.
So,
always up.
Always up.
Always up.
Always up. Never
like
down.
Shaving, yeah.
But something like that, and it's a natural glow. So it hydrates, it's moisturizing, and it also is preventative. And we make it a habit to say, like, we're just preventing more damage. Like, we all know we've been bad, we've been in the sun, whatever, but these products are aimed at really correcting what you have, and have already done.
It's a full line. So you've got moisturizers, I saw eye creams, and then you have
eye cream and neck cream, the face cream. We have this amazing, I love our lip plumper because it's
plumper.
And where do you make these?
I make them in California.
Perfect.
Made in California. Some of the components we get from France. Believe it or not, I do a lot of beauty internationally, and I was just speaking in Paris at the Louvre on innovation in beauty, and we highlighted different brands around the world and what are they doing with innovation. But one of the things that I see, and we'll get to the lip thing after, you can try that before we go to break, is that it's an inclusive time in beauty. It's $1 billion industry that is now finally letting people be who they are. The underrepresented, the niche brands, the indie brands are actually way more effective at communicating with the consumers via social media. And it's not to say that corporate big brands won't exist and won't do great things, but what it is that people are saying, I want a brand that speaks to me. Maybe I'm Afro-Latina and I've never had a product that makes my hair look good. There's a brand for it now. So one, we go back to this original question, this is the long way around, Lisa, but there are so many brands, but the reason is, there should be, because there's so many different people.
Let me stop you there. How does this make you feel?
I mean, it depends on the day.
You're accomplishing things that aren't really in our realm of television.
Well, thank you for that. It depends on the day. I mean, obviously being an entrepreneur and stepping out and putting your face on something and venturing something and doing it on your own is scary. And I encourage women to do it, but I also know I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy path. Yeah. But what pride it gives me is when I see my daughter getting excited about things for me and saying, Mommy, I'm so proud of you. And her friends follow the brand and they love it and they want to use it. And she knows that Mommy is trying to make a difference, because for so many years, beauty was something that was done onto us. Totally. And we need to flip that story and say, you know what, beauty is no longer something that's controlled by buy these 10 products and then you'll feel beautiful. And for me, I think that, I feel like very connected to what I'm doing in beauty because I feel like the end result will make people feel good about themselves. And I want to have whatever impact I can in this world in the short time I'm here to do something positive and good. And that's what sort of we're doing at Bianca de Garza Beauty. And a new lip collaboration with my friend Paulina Madrazo from Mexican Dynasties is just announced on my website. Yay, and they're flavors of the season. So it's a lip gloss trio, peppermint sangria, eggnog horchata, and a red apple cinnamon margarita. So you don't have to drink the booze, but you can taste it on your lips.
Fantastic. Okay, wait.
Fiesta.
And if beauty isn't enough, Bianca is also in the movies and trying to bring movie worlds together from all over the world. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about
I'm out of breath.
The movie. There's more.
I don't know if I can take any more.
Well, you're going to have a
hang on.
So much stuff.
Hang on, pal.
Okay,
We got to do it. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Taste this. Tell me what you think.
We're back with Bianca de Garza. Not only is she a journalist, an amazing businesswoman, but also involved in movies.
What?
I know.
Wait,
I know.
it's so all over the place.
Is it though?
Is it though?
I mean, is it? I feel like in today's industry, it just one thing leads to another. And I was in Asia for the beauty line, and I was doing some digital content and speaking with some women over there about beauty inclusivity. And these actresses that I was interviewing and their director invited me to be in a movie. So I was like,
because that's what happens.
Wait a minute.
That's what happens. That's what happens.
Just, opportunities knock and you have to go through doors.
Yeah.
And Alice Wang, who's this really amazing director in Asia, does a lot of action stunt movies. Arby's has this series called Mulan Angels. She was looking for a female villain from America. So there was a connection there when she saw me. She goes, "You're going to play Mrs. J." And I said, "Game on, let's do it."
That's the face of a villain.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
This is the movie.
I know.
Okay, but so
dark
we're watching it.
I'm very angry here. I just killed a bird, and those are my henchmen. The girls here are the angels, and they're trying to, rid the world of everything bad, and I'm trying to kill all of them, which is the complete opposite of who I am in real life. So it was really fun. But these women are black belts, so I also had to train in martial arts. So I spent about a month here in LA working with 2 trainers, and developed, a semi, okay stance. I mean, obviously, I had choreography I had to learn. In the last scene, I'm fighting all 4 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was intense.
So fun to play a villain. I would feel like if I were to ever get the opportunity to be in a movie, I would want to be the villain.
I know, right?
So absolutely.
Because you don't get to do that, I loved being the villain, and I loved that it was an Asian production. Of course I'd be the villain. I'm the evil American, because when we watch movies here, who are the evil, people, and we put in, the Russians were, and this and that. So I loved that it was really this cross-cultural geopolitical role thing too. Yeah. But it was fun, and it was intense, and I got into great shape, and I really stayed with, some of the fighting, and I have so much appreciation for the skill and the discipline and the filmmaking.
Suddenly I'm scared to be with both of you.
Yeah,
holy cow. 2 blonde villains right here on the set.
We got your back. See, we can protect you, Carlos, from anyone coming after you.
I wouldn't protect him.
But that is so cool. I mean, it kind of expands your world, that you do things that you may not feel completely comfortable doing, and you just throw yourself into it.
Yeah, of course. And I think that, when you grow up in journalism, as you both know, and then doing hosting in a late night show, you interview people in so many different moments. Their house just burned down. I'm standing next to Tom Brady. He just won the Super Bowl. So you really get to understand human emotion. Yeah. And what I loved about my career in journalism was that it brought me places that I could have maybe never gone or wouldn't have seen, covering the Pope and covering the border in Mexico. Right. So for me, I really understand the thing of being around different people and different cultures, interviewing world leaders, being in a room with a terrorist, I mean, it's covered crazy stuff, as I know you both have too. So when you have chronicled literally some of the biggest events in American history or global history, you really get a sense of you can do a lot of different things because you have to be a quick study on things. I was woken up one morning and they were like, "Hi, Bianca." I was like, maybe 2:30 in the morning, a little bit earlier than my normal call. I'm like, "Hi." They're like, "Yeah, they just captured Osama bin Laden, so we need you to come to work." And I was like, boom. I was like, I'm not going home for 3 days.
Yeah.
We know the feeling.
We absolutely know the feeling.
So I don't look at acting as anything difficult. I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but it's like, when you're delivering the news and you're delivering a statement, you have to be fact. You can never be wrong. You always have to be appropriate. You always have to have everything to the T, buttoned up. Yeah. So this is I love being in the creative world, and I love being in sort of this new way of how we are consuming media. And obviously, ever since Crazy Rich Asians, there's been this uptick in Asia and the fascination, and how do we kind of cross borders there and get in that market?
And that's what I was going to talk to you about next. So that's where we are now, right? So now you are joined up with somebody people might recognize. The name is Sacha Baron Cohen's cousin.
Yes. Ash. Yes, Ash Baron Cohen.
And now what are you doing together to bring those 2 worlds together?
So it's really interesting. When I spent so much time over in Asia for the movie and covering things for the beauty line, I really got immersed in the culture. I fell in love with it, really. We were in Tokyo, we were in Seoul, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Taipei for the movie. And I got a sense of, wow, people there have projects that I think we would really like as Americans. So we have a company here called the Nakota Group, and it's our job with my partners to find great producers here in Hollywood that want to crack the Asian market, get past things like censorship, and get past things, to get into theaters there, which audiences want to see American things. They have a great appetite for what we do. And they also, with the scale, it's very advantageous for a filmmaker. Sure. So we just had Variety just mentioned the deal we did with Ash, and Ash has 3 projects that our company is going to take his slate and co-produce with him in Asia. He's going to go and work with Alice and other people on her team. So, and Alice, hopefully, with Mulan Angels and the films, it's not released yet, but on's that gains notoriety, we can bring other people here. So we're looking for talented scripts, talented script writers, and being the conduit in between this East meets West it's so timely. It's so of the moment.
I have one question for you to
just
kind of wrap this up. When do you sleep? And do you ever rest? It seems to me that you're one of those 4-hour-a-night sleepers, and you're constantly going. I mean, you seem really involved in so many things.
Okay.
Is there downtime for you?
Yes and no. I do actually. I'm a big because I didn't sleep for many years when I did news.
I
never slept. So so now I actually am really religious about getting my sleep, and I try to get to bed early, and at the same time I really try to require like 8 hours of sleep. Now when I'm sleeping, do I wake up and have an idea and I have to write it or put it on my?
Of course you do.
Some days are bad. And I'm also traveling so much, so there's a lot of challenges when you're in different time zones. Yeah. So I do get tremendous jet lag. That's one of the things. Some people are like, I never get jet lag. I'm like, what are you, a robot? Like, who is this? Tell me how I don't get jet lag. But I think what keeps me going is I have so many. I'm so curious about the world, and that's what made me a great reporter, and that's why in business I do have my passions, and they are going to take time. But if you don't work hard, you won't succeed. And I grew up from a family, being Latina. My parents came here from Mexico. My dad came from Mexico, and my cousins, they immigrated, and they had to make it. And so I have that work ethic that was instilled in me as a little girl. No one's going to give you anything. You have to go out and earn it. So I'm not afraid of hard work, and I'm not afraid of missing a few hours of sleep.
Certainly have done it.
Bianca, nice to meet you.
Love
Thank you
being
for
here.
coming.
Thank you.
Really
And congrats on everything you guys are doing.
Thank you.
I love the
Success
show.
to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Bianca,
you.
for being here with us.
Next, a new partnership aimed at protecting and conserving some of the most popular surfing spots all around the world. And later, she has a new single with Flava Flav and a big voice. Hear Micayla de Ette perform on the BeondTV music series.
Hello, welcome back to Carlos and Lisa. I'm Lisa Remillard.
And I'm Carlos Amesco. We're still not matching.
Yeah, how about that?
Well, sort of matching.
Well, ish.
All right. So let's talk about something that's near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
Places like Playa Grande, Costa Rica, Jeffreys Bay, South Africa, Huntington Beach, California. These are some of the world's best surf spots.
We all know you can't have great surf spots without having great waves and clean oceans. But sadly, the world's oceans are deteriorating. Yeah,
there's been overfishing, pollution, and of course just development taking a toll, leaving the ocean ecosystem kind of out of whack. And that has a negative effect on so many things, including our food supply and even our climate.
And those who see it firsthand are the more than 34 million surfers who are out there around the world paddling those waves, surfing those waves every single day.
Yeah, as a longtime surfer, I, of course, can attest to this. Surfers have a really special relationship and closeness with the ocean. It's that relationship and commitment to keeping our oceans healthy that Conservation International and Save the Waves are kind of banking together in on a new initiative to try to clean up the environment that we so much love.
The groups are partnering with surf communities around the world to create surf-protected areas. Their goal is to sustainably manage millions of acres of coral reefs and other marine habitats in areas that otherwise would not be protected.
I can't tell you how frustrating it is to surf with plastic crap all over the water. That just makes me angry.
I know.
And you think to yourself, I need to do something about this. And so we're going to talk to this guy, Scott Atkinson from Conservation International, this guy right here.
Yeah, he's here with us.
Who's done the same thing, and she was shaking his head the minute I said it. It's true. It almost makes you it upsets you so much. You see trash in the ocean that we use for our recreation and for our health and for our climate.
Yeah, it's exactly like you said. Hi, Carlos. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
It's exactly like you said. Surfers are so passionate about the ocean, and when they have the places that they love so much be polluted, be covered in plastics, or they start to see the coastline change and the development just destroy that beauty that they've grown up with, they do get angry, they get upset, and they want to take action. And the Surf Conservation Partnership is all about giving people a way to take action to protect surf breaks around the world that they love, but also the larger environment, because the surf breaks themselves, while important, they're sustained by the larger environment. They're sustained by the forests, by the coastlines, by the healthy coral reefs, and that's pretty much our mission.
All right, so it's actually a quite brilliant idea to get the surfers involved, because they have that passion, but also I feel like all the surfers I know are the kind of ladies and men who do things, who are actually active and who actually take steps to save things, fix things, work on things. So let's talk about protecting those surf spots. And what exactly does that look like? Are you going to rope it off? Like, what does it look like?
Sure. I think the best way to think of it is think of the national parks in the U.S. Think of Channel Islands, where basically the things that destroy nature are limited in those places. If we have too much overfishing, if we have too much sand mining, if we have too much cutting of the forest, that will cause problems in the marine environment. If we put too much plastic in, if we put too much sewage in, that will cause problems in the marine environment. So really what we're doing is managing what we take out of the ocean and what we put into the ocean. And if you do those two things, the formula is really quite simple. And it is protected areas, but with those kind of two things to balance and keep nature intact for the benefit of people. We don't exclude people. We want people to enjoy it. We want them to surf. People still need to fish, but you just need to do it in a balanced way that really protects the environment.
Even when they dam up rivers upstream, that affects the ecosystem of the oceans and the rivers and the water mouths and all of that. So you know, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, your involvement personally, what this means to you personally, because as I mentioned, when I'm in the water, I want the ocean to be clean and pure. What is it like for you? You live in Hawaii, you surf in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, almost every day of my life I've been going into the ocean surfing, and then professionally been a marine conservationist for over 25 years. And so for a long time, I couldn't figure out how to put the two together. And then I met partners at Save the Waves who've been protecting surf ecosystems around the world, some of the world's most iconic waves. And I work for Conservation International, where we've been protecting nature in a large scale. And we basically said, look, surfers are passionate, I'm passionate, everyone who does it really loves that resource. We said, can we combine these protecting the breaks themselves and protecting the larger nature? And that's really where my personal passion came in. It was just a matter of seeing that this is a force, as Lisa said, 34 million surfers worldwide. This is a force that are basically looking for a way to do conservation. I think every single one of us, if you gave us an easy path to follow where we could contribute and help, we would do it. And that's exactly what this initiative is trying to do, built out of our personal interest, but then applying really tried and true protected area techniques.
Okay, so it's lovely that you are all surfers and you're all trying to find those steps to conserve and save waves and save the ocean and protect the environment. But you can't do that without buy-in from governments, from local municipalities, from all of the local leaders, business owners that also operate in those same environments that you're trying to protect.
Absolutely.
So I'm wondering, how do you get them on board? Because they have their own interest that sometimes doesn't include conserving your protected area.
Yeah, so I'll give the example of our first site in Indonesia. It's called Morotai Island, where the local community, as you mentioned, they're surfers. They love it, they want to protect it. They saw that it was changing, and they, just like myself, just like Carlos said, we got to do something. So the way they got the government on board is pretty much through the force of local communities saying, look, we need to do something, and the government sees the opportunity. If they maintain that environment, they'll be able to increase tourism and have development that's sustainable and ultimately does not destroy what the local people and ultimately what the government needs, which is an intact environment. If you were to just develop mass tourism that ended up basically destroying the environment, it might work for a while, but over time, essentially people will leave. We've seen cases all around the world where tourism has gotten too much tourism and they've had to close sites in Thailand, in the Philippines, sites in Indonesia. So look, we're talking about a balanced tourism that benefits the surfing communities, the traveling surfers, anyone else who wants to come there for marine conservation. And the government is happy because their constituents are happy and they're generating income from tourism. So it's kind of a win-win-win for everybody.
Where this really came to my mind was, interestingly enough, the conservation efforts out on Long Island, having surfed somewhat in the East Coast. I grew up in San Diego, but when I went out to the East Coast, it was a whole different world, and the things that were going on there were really starting to change back in the 80s when I lived there. And what you're saying is really interesting, and that is this is a global effort. This cannot be done. You can't isolate the ocean to just one coast or one shoreline or one surf spot. It's really a global approach, and that's partly why you need partnerships with business, like Lisa mentioned, and environmentalists as well.
That's right. So if you think about this, with this 34 million surfers around the world, they had been mobilized before to address things like plastic pollution, sewage, and development.
Yeah.
But the protected area movement, creating a network of protected areas around the world's best surf breaks, it hadn't been done before. So that's what we're working to do. And I think of it like this. Conservation, we've talked about the crisis in our global oceans, the decline in fish, the statistic that by 2050, the weight of plastic in the ocean will exceed the weight of fish. We hear all these things, which is, what can we do? Well, here's an group of allies that want to do something, and we can mobilize them to do it. And so I think it's a pretty fascinating approach that we didn't think of until just the last year, and we've been going strong about for 12 months now with our first site in Indonesia.
And the last thing I want to ask, because I'm sure we have a lot of surfers who watch us, you know, we are here in Los Angeles, and so there's a lot of people that have a passion about the ocean here. So where can people get involved? How can they get involved? What is it that they need to do? Do you need them to go to the surf spots and like rope it up? What do you need them to do?
They need their money.
What do you need?
Well, you're right, Carlos. We always do need financial support, but we need a couple of other things too. We need people's ideas and suggestions. We're just started a year ago. Our first site is in Indonesia, but we plan to expand to Fiji, Costa Rica, even Liberia, West Africa. Basically anywhere where surf, important ecosystems, forests, and marine areas, and local people who are looking for community development opportunities overlap, will work there. So we need people to give us their ideas and suggestions. Social networks, if they think, hey, I have a friend who would really love this and might want to get involved, we'd like to meet them. And then, of course, the financial support. We can't do it without money.
And finally, a website that people can go to.
Yeah, you can go to www.conservation.org/surf. So Conservation International, conservation.org/surf.
All right, Scott, thank you so much for coming and sharing this with us.
Best of luck. Thanks for the good work you're doing out there. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Next, Micayla de Ette tells us how her life has been turned into a movie and how she teamed up with some big names to get it done.
She is a singer with a 5-octave vocal range, and soon she'll be starring in a movie inspired by the events of her own life.
The movie is called Hold On, Here's a CD, and she just released the title song for the soundtrack featuring, of all people, Flava Flav. Welcome, Micayla de Ette. It's nice to have you here,
Hi,
Micayla.
Micayla!
Thanks for having me.
Wait a minute. Where did the Flava Flav connection come from?
Oh, it's so awesome. Okay, so my best friend is actually my manager, and we did this movie together, Hold On.
Yeah.
And we met each other in a really crucial time where we were both like feeling really down and depressed, and I had kind of given up on my music, and I was doing studio work. I was singing like hair jingles, and you know what I'm saying, like Russian animal, you know, stuff like that. And I was just like, whatever, $80, I'm good. Let's go. Pay the rent. And so he hired me, my friend, who is now my friend. At the time, he was like, I need a singer for this movie that I'm doing, because he used to work with a really well-known person. And he was working for that company, and they had a film that they were doing through USC. And so he found me, was like, can you come sing for this song with Flava Flav? So Flav was in this short film that he directed.
Oh, okay.
And so I did the piece, and then he was like, you know, you're really cool, like, you're so talented, you must have other stuff going on. I was like, no. He was like, and he looked up my YouTube and was like, this is pathetic, like, we gotta do something. And so he, what happened was we recorded a song on his laptop and did the music video for $300. Yeah, my first song called Over. And I played him a song called This Song at the time. And he was like, oh, can you play me that song, Hold On? And I was like, I don't have a song called Hold On.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, and he was like, no, you know, that really good one. And so we got to talking about that. And come to find out, we made a movie.
Isn't that amazing?
We put the song in it. We put all my other songs in it. And one of my best friend and manager's really good friends is Flava Flav. So we said, would you be in it? He said, yeah.
He's in it. So let's talk about Hold On, because this has a very special message that's near and dear to your heart. Tell me about the message of this movie.
So the movie is just, it comes from a place where, you know, we've all been there, where you're just like, I'm struggling. I'm really having a hard time. I'm putting on the smile all the time. Yeah. And inside I'm like dying, you know, and that's where I was when I met my best friend, and he was like, I believe in you. I believe that your life is so much more than this dark moment, you know. And I met him at the same kind of period where I was like, oh my gosh, you're a talented writer, director, oh my gosh, you can't give up. And he's like, no, you can't give up. And the movie is all about the power of that friendship, and how when you have someone who can just say, hey, simple, don't give up. Can you just hang in there one more day? It's that simple, but that can change your whole life. And had I given up, and you know, for the jingles and all that, I mean, I was really pondering some
We should
really,
all be blessed with that kind of friendship.
Yeah,
Right.
I pray that everyone can find it because I prayed, like, I need something to get me out of this. And I tried every, I'm in self-help things. I was in grief groups. I lost my sister a couple years ago, to a drug overdose. And that's what spurred all of this. And she was my best friend, my biggest fan, my supporter. And I just didn't know how to live without her. I have other siblings, but we were 13 months apart. So we lived that twin life,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I met him, he was like, "Oh, you're not giving up."
That's so
That's
important.
what the movie's all about.
So important.
Amazing.
I also want to talk about your voice because it's fabulous, girl.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But when did you learn that you had that gift? Because honestly, a vocal range like that is, as you know, a gift.
It is.
Not everybody can sing like that.
Right.
When did you learn that about yourself?
I sang all through my childhood, and my mom was telling me, she would play music and I would be bopping around singing as a baby, But when I really started singing, I was in a gospel choir in my church in Phoenix, where I grew up. And this amazing artist, Eddie James, was leading. He's super famous, like all over the world. But he, at the time, was just like a young 19-year-old kid and was like, let's give this girl a chance. He gave me a solo. And I couldn't really sing. I wasn't like, when you watch
trained.
America's Got
That's hard to
Talent, and you
believe.
see these kids and you go, what are they feeding these kids, right? I wasn't one of those kids.
Really?
I'm telling you, it's the craziest
Wow.
thing. I could kind of sing, but I wanted, like, it was in my heart,
Yeah.
And I was the youngest kid in, my sister and I and my mom, in this gospel choir. Everybody's huge and just voices like you can just feel it, right?
Yeah.
And I remember just sitting there looking up at them and trying to like belt it out, and I just couldn't. And I was singing, my little solo, and my voice was not developed, And I walked away from this rehearsal. I remember distinctly, I walked away and I was like, I just want to sing. I just want to have a powerful voice that will move people. And I was thinking that and saying it, and I was practicing the warm-up that we had just done in the choir. And I was walking to the car, and I started singing, "Blessed be the name." And I was like singing a little quiet. And I was like, "Come on, God, like let me just," I prayed, and I kid you not,
It happened.
this voice came out that was like, I will blow this microphone. It was a miracle. My mom was like, "What? What just happened?"
God
Like,
answered
how
your
old were
prayer.
you?
I was about 8, 9 years old.
It's incredible.
And
Okay.
yeah.
So the movie is coming out December 6th in just a couple of days, and we can see it everywhere, right?
So excited.
Okay.
We're excited.
So, and you're going to stick around and you're going to sing for
Yes.
us. I'm so
Thank you.
excited.
I
You're going to sing
cannot
the
wait to hear you
title
sing in
track.
person, because this is amazing.
So the title track is "Hold On," and that's.
Oh, you're going to sing Write a Song.
I'm going to sing "Write a Song," which is
Okay.
my song with Flav. He's not able to be here, but I'm going to vamp his part.
Okay,
It'll
good.
be fine.
If you want, I can wear a clock and stand next to
You
you.
know what I'm saying? Can you help me out?
Carlos might be able to do that for you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you will hear Micayla sing. We are back with Micayla de Ette. She is here to sing. I'm so excited. What are you singing?
I'm singing "Write a Song"
From the soundtrack.
The soundtrack that's out now.
Yay! Okay.
The soundtrack of "Hold On."
And you wrote this song.
I did.
All right.
I did.
Take it away, Micayla.
I wish that I could write a song. I wish that I had the words. I wish that I could write a song that would change the world, change the world. I wish that I could write a song. I wish that I had the words. I wish that I could write a song that would change the world, change the world, change the world, change the world. For all the mothers barely making ends meet, and families with not enough to eat, and all my brothers out there on the street. Hands up in the air, are we too blind to see? Oh, orphans and foster kids wait patiently, little boys and girls sold into slavery, silenced voices too ashamed to speak. Oh God, please intervene as we bend our knees. Oh, I wish that I could write a song. I wish that I change the world, change the world. I wish that I could write a song. I wish that I had the words. I wish that I could write a song that would change the world, change the world, change the world, change the world. I wish that I could change. Life can be dangerous if you're scared to move forward and don't accept changes. A lot of people done sold their soul just to be famous. This world is so corrupted and it's time to make changes and break the chains of command. Relax, stop being so uptight. I promise it's gonna be alright from the sun up to the moonlight. We gotta work a little bit on our inside so we can see a little clearer through our eyesight. Fill this world with love. We need to come together and pray to the man above. I wish I had a genie, grant me 3 wishes. Stop the violence, stop the crime and terrorism. I wish that I wish that I could change the world. Change the world. Change the world. Seems that all I can do is bang on these keys, tell the stories with my melodies. And if I could, I'd write a symphony. If it would somehow ease the pain with these harmonies. I wish that I could write a song. I wish that I had the words. I wish that I could write a song that would change the world, change the world. I wish that I could write a song. I wish that I had the words. I wish that I could write a song that would change the world. Change the world. Change the world. I wish that I.
Micayla, oh my God! So the soundtrack is out now. You
out
can
now.
get the music now, and the movie is out December 6th. Thank you for being here. You have a beautiful voice.
you.
What a gift.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Tomorrow on Carlos and Lisa, the fab mom, Jill Simonian, is back talking about why you should not overschedule your kids.
So there's another reason to love your dog.
Simba, my dog. My golden retriever.
Apparently, according to the American Heart Association Journal, says having a dog as a pet actually protects you from dying of any cause.
Well, that's why they have dogs in hospitals, because it calms people down, makes you feel better. Yeah, I totally believe that.
Okay, so we've covered stories where dogs have woken up their owners, like when the house is on fire.
Yes.
So, like, that's a way dogs save people's lives.
They'll
Like,
bark
that's
and bark and bark when the baby's in trouble as well.
all that too with the baby.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the other data shows that people who own dogs have a 31% reduced risk of dying from cardiovascular disease.
Sure, they have a great effect on you.
Calming.
I loved my dog. We
What's
had
your
that
dog's
dog
name?
for 17 years, Simba.
Simba,
Fantastic dog, one of my best companions ever. Now supplanted by
the cat, Missy the cat.
Missy the cat.
By the way, the benefit of living longer and not dying with a dog is when you live alone. Just when you live by yourself.
If you live by yourself, you should have a dog. Don't live by yourself.
Live by yourself.
Live with a dog.
There you go.
Never talks back.
Never talks back.
Never has trouble.
No, never
financial
causes an
issues.
issue. No, you don't have to
All
fight
right,
with
so
the dog.
listen, we
What a great show.
We heard her
Micayla
sing.
was so good.
Micayla is off the charts. So we
good.
asked her to sing.
One more, the title track of the movie Hold On. This is the title track of, it's called Hold On as well.
Thanks so much for being with us. BeondTV is where you can see us online. Here is Micayla.
Hold on.